All right, welcome back for the second part of One Man's Faith. We started a new series. We're looking at our adversary because we need to know who he is, how he operates, so we'll understand when we come under attack. And believe it or not, there are ways that he attacks that you wouldn't even think would be his way. So that's why we need to see. All right, we've been looking at, there's a term we normally refer to our adversary as, and that is Satan. Well, that's not his name. I don't believe that's his name. Because like I read in Job chapter 1, verse 6 and 7, it was the Satan. The Satan. And Lucifer is really not his name. That was a term, that's a Latin term. Actually, that term is used for one of our planets, and that is Venus. If you look back in the Latin that is used, Lucifer is another term for the planet Venus. So Lucifer is not his name. The term that is really used here is Hillel, okay? And I believe if there's a name for Satan before he fell, it was Hillel, because it comes from halal, which means praise, worship, ecstatic joy, okay? And as we'll see, it would be a description for this person, all right? So let's look, who is he? We have basically two passages that give us indications of who the Satan or our adversary was, okay? If we go to Ezekiel 28, now, as you look at Ezekiel 28, it starts, matter of fact, I don't have it in here. Let me just flip over in my Bible so that so I can just read. Ezekiel 28 is a prophecy, and it starts by saying in verse 1, "The word of the Lord came to me saying, Son of man, say to the leader of Tyre," all right, say to the leader or the ruler of Tyre, "because your heart was lifted up and you said, I am a God, I sit in the seat of gods, in the heart of the seas, yet you are a man, not God." Okay? That's how Ezekiel 28 starts out. This is a prophecy to the leader. He says, you think you're wise, but you're not. And he goes on and tells him some other things. And then in verse 11, it says, "Again, the word of the Lord came to me saying, Son of man, take up a lamentation over the king of Tyre." Now, we just had a lamentation over the leader of Tyre. And it says, you think you're God, but you're only a man. All right? So now let's look at Ezekiel 11. He said, "Son of man, take up a lamentation over the king of Tyre and say to him, Thus says the Lord." Listen to this. The end of verse 12. "You had the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of God." Now, I only know of four people. Yeah, four people that were in the garden. Okay? Adam, Eve, God, and the serpent. Okay? And we're going to see in a minute, the serpent is the Satan or our adversary. Okay? So this prophecy is not about a person, all right? Even though it's directed at the king of Tyre, it's really a description of our adversary. Listen to it. "You had the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was your covering. The ruby, the topaz, the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, the jasper, the lapaluzzi, the turquoise, and the emerald. The gold and the workmanship of your settings and sockets was in you. On the day that you were created. Again, cannot be a man. Men are not created, we're born. On the day that you were created, they were prepared. You were the anointed cherub who covers. Another word for covers there is guard. In a sense, like a guardian angel. And I placed you there. God says, I placed you there. You were on the holy mountain of God. You walked in the midst of the stones of fire. You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created until unrighteousness was found in you. By the abundance of your trade, you were eternally filled with violence, and you sinned. Therefore, I have cast you as profane from the mountain of God, and I have destroyed you, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. Do you hear the description? He was perfect. He was perfect in everything. He was full of wisdom. He was perfect in beauty. And it says he was in Eden. And every stone was his covering. Every precious stone was his covering. So he was dazzling. He was beautiful. You see how Hallel can come from halal? Ecstatic joy. In some places it shows that music and worship were his main forte. That was his ministry, so to speak, before the Lord. Music and worship. Okay, and it says he was a cherub. Okay, he was a cherub. Now, what's a cherub? All right, in case you have not looked into that, a cherub is one of, in hierarchy, the high angels, the higher angels, and there appears to have been several cherubs. We know, and we'll see here right now, if you go to Ezekiel 1, we have a description of what a cherub looks like. Okay, cherub is the singular of the word cherubim. Okay, so and you see cherubim a little bit more than you really see cherub. In chapter 1, it says, Ezekiel says, as I looked, behold, a storm wind was coming from the north, a great cloud with fire flashing forth continually, and a bright light all around it. And in its midst, something like glowing metal in the midst of a fire. Within it, there were figures resembling 4 living beings. And this is their appearance. They had human form. Each of them had 4 faces and 4 wings. Their legs were straight and their feet were like calves' hooves. And they gleamed like burnished bronze. Under their wings, on their 4 sides, were human hands. As for the faces and the wings of the 4 of them, their wings touched one another. Their faces did not turn when they moved. Each went straight forward. As for the form of their faces, each had the face of a man. All 4 had the face of a lion on the right, the face of a bull on the left, and all 4 had the face of the eagle on the other side from man. Okay? This is the description of a cherub. All right? Now, wait a minute, Neal, it doesn't say they were cherubs. It doesn't here, no. But in chapter 10, verse 20, Ezekiel says, these are the beings that I saw beneath the God of Israel by the river Kabar, so I knew they were cherubim. All right, he has another vision of them. So these creatures that are mentioned in chapter 1 are cherub. Okay, they are the cherubim. They had faces. They had the face of a man. They had the face of a lion. They had the face of a bull. They had the face of an eagle. They were living beings. They had a human form. They had some kind of human form. You know, now I've seen people kind of try to get this, but I still don't get this, especially, I think it's in, maybe here in chapter 1, it talks about wheels. And their life is in the wheels, and they have wheels that turn, and it's, man, I really have a hard time picturing this. I can picture it a little bit, but some of these things, I'm all right till we get to the wheels. We're not getting to that today, but I'm just saying. Okay, but they had the appearance of a human form. They had wings, they had hands, and they had 4 faces: the face of a man, the face of a bull, the face of a lion, and the face of an eagle. On them. It appears that these 4, at least when they're in a sense carrying the throne of God, are kind of stuck together in a square pattern. That's the way I picture it. And their heads don't turn, but they go straight. So if you saw them as one entity, they would move this way, or they would move that way, or that way. Kind of like chess pieces in a sense. Maybe they could do a diagonal. I don't know, but it says they went straight forward. Okay, and they moved. Now these are cherubim. These are the cherubim. There's 4 mentioned here. Okay. Now, if you go to Revelations 12, it says that the dragon fell and his tail swooped away 1/3 of the stars. Okay? Stars is indicative of angels. And we know that Satan, the adversary, brought with him fallen angels, which became demonic angels, okay, or became what we call demons. 1/3 of the heavenlies, 1/3 of the angels came with Satan. Now, if we have 4 cherubim, how many did we have before the fall? I want to suggest to you that there were 6. We have the 4 that are mentioned here. Then we have Hallel, which is the Satan, our adversary, and there was a 6th one, and I'll tell you who he is when we come back from break. But it's that time again. So go ahead, grab a cup of coffee. I'll be right back.